Hey, let's see here. Everybody's in listen only. We're trying out Zoho, so Zoom continues to be an absolute pain for us. We're just going to try out Zoho webinar here. We'll see how this goes. Hopefully, it's a good experience. Unfortunately, we got to kind of relearn a few things here. Rob, I don't know if you can jump in and speak as well. There you are. Right. I don't know that they can unmute themselves on this one. If not, definitely use the chat. And we'll see how this goes. And Zoom, we were having a lot of issues with glitchy video and various things. So we're just trying this out. So hopefully, can you guys hear us? Go ahead and say yes in the chat or something so we know you're there and can see this in our live. I'm seeing thumbs up, so cool. I'm not seeing any chats though, so that must be with my, there that is. No. I'll take the thumbs up. There's Rob. So I think that's just like between you and me. That's okay. We'll get going. Everybody's jumping in here. I can see the attendance jumping up, so we'll give everybody just a minute to get in, and we'll figure this out better. Again, if we're going to stick with Zoho, we'll be more prepared with how to handle the mics so you guys can talk and chat. If you raise your hand, is there a hand raising thing? We can unmute you too. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and fire up the screen share here. Let's make sure this all works, and then we'll get underway. All right, Rob, can you see my screen?
Yep, I've got it.
Okay. All right, well, thank you at the Smackdab training webinars. Today, the idea is to cover activities, just do an overview of activities, what the thought process was behind them, how you can use them. And then I'm going to do a little bit of we'll call it still a little preview. We're in the final vetting modes of bookings. It is in your beta files. It should be available for you to use. It is the newest thing that we've put out there, and it's definitely still getting finessed. So for the bookings, definitely consider that very beta, and don't maybe use that one in production yet, but feel free to play with it. But we wanted to release it so you can all tinker with it, anybody who wants to. And we plan to have that wrapped up and tightened up here in the next couple of weeks as well, so that once we feel good about it, and we'll do a release on a video release, and I'll announce in the community as well that bookings could be put into production. So activities, and before we jump in, launch picture in picture. Okay. Before we jump in, I would like to know if they can chat somehow. Have we figured this out? Is there a...
So the Q&A you guys can use to, I don't know if the rest of you can see it. Like Brian said, hello. But you guys can put your questions in there and we can answer them for sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, I want to make sure, because it's a big part of this is getting some feedback from everyone out there.
Rose or Shannon, if one of you would just like test to make sure that you guys can, or click me privately. Perfect. Yeah.
We're getting them. Okay.
Go there.
Put them there and we'll address them as we go. Yes, that is the chat, Howard. So we can see that. So definitely throw stuff in there. Yep, that's it, Tyler. Okay, I'm going to take off here. So activities. So in Smackdab, activities are a catch-all record type where you can put your meetings in there. You can schedule a phone call. You can just make them a task, which is just something for yourself to do. Right now, there are only component for tasks. We do have a task actual component that's going to be coming, where it's more of what you would think of as like a project management task, where it's just a quick check off. I want to just do a task, and it can actually be a part of other records. That's coming. So just know that in the activities I'm going to show you today, it's just our current implementation of tasks, but a faster, more integrated task module is in the works. So activities, they are a module here on the left-hand side. And like all of the other primary modules, you can create custom views for them. So just like I showed you in the webinar a couple weeks ago, you can go in here and create a custom my activities, or you could just do a meeting type or something, whatever you want to put in there, because then you assign the fields and you could put a filter of a certain type, like meetings or proposal meetings or whatever different activity types you might have set up in your file. So you can create views for these the same as everywhere else. And then you can sort and filter them. But the activities themselves are generally not going to be done from the activities module. Instead, you're typically going to be working in a deal or inside of directly from a contact, maybe like I've got here, the Smackdab demo contact. So when I open this up, you can see I've actually already created one. So these next steps here, that's going to be those activities that you have that are scheduled that have not been marked as done. So an activity, marking it as done is what will make it disappear from the list and consider it taken care of. Until you mark it done, if we have activities from the past, they're going to have a red indicator on there and saying past due and grabbing your attention. So once an activity is scheduled, you can click it here and it's going to open up this window and you can see it. It's got normal fields just like any other Smackdab record does. You can add additional related collaborators, guests, and we're going to cover all this in the edit field in a minute, but I just want you to get the concept that it is like any other record, with the exception of you can mark it as done. So when you're finished, you click the button and it's going to pop up, and optionally we have this required final piece to it, like what was the result and is there a memo required, and this depends on the plan. I think this is part of Momentum where we have this secondary pop-up that comes up so you can capture results and optionally require memos. So let's go ahead and start at the beginning and create an activity so that you've got the kind of the overview. Let's look at the details. So there's a couple of different ways to create an activity, one of which is just this icon right here. So from any contact, deal, company, you're going to have this button here, and that button brings up a 404 error. Let me reload. This was my test. Let me get that was an unplanned reload. We'll go here for a second. Go to contacts, pull up my demo account, and new activity. Sorry, this one's got dark mode on. And the activity type here is going to be meeting. It's our default type. And so your meeting title is going to be whatever you might want. So this could be meet to discuss a bid, like that. And booking types is what I was mentioning before, which are just about ready to be set loose. And when they're part of an activity, the way we intend to have this work, and we're going to be looking for feedback on this, is instead of you scheduling it here, you would just set a booking type, and this would then let somebody reference just go to your calendar like you've done with Calendly or it's the most popular one, and let your client pick a time to meet with you, and it would already be hooked into this activity. So that part is what's not quite ready, but it will be soon. For now, we're just going to clear that out, and we'll schedule it for today. And you could do the time here, so 3:30. You'll notice that the calendar over here hops and recenters on that time. You can drag and grab this here and move it around the calendar, and you'll see that it recenters here. You can also change your dates or use the calendar up here to jump around. So I could look at tomorrow instead. You can jump around to different days to set the activity to when you want to have it. There's not an end time. Instead, we chose to do a duration because the end time is just nothing more than the start time plus how long is it going to be. It's going to be a 45-minute meeting, so the end time automatically adjusts. And then for your reminders, right now it's just they're going to be email notifications, but depending on the plan, we're going to have optional SMS notifications as well. And then you can do in-app notifications. So we're going to have some variety here. For right now, it's just the basic email type of reminder. And this could be 30 minutes. And you can set these all as defaults so that when you schedule this, these just auto-populate based upon what you want. Then you've got your video call options. So you click in here, and if you've had your Zoom already authorized, it will just present this here where you can either create the Zoom link, or we can, if we've already scheduled a Zoom or somebody else has maybe created the link, you can just add it this way. So for me, I'm just going to click to create the Zoom link, and you can see it inserts it into the meeting link section right there. And you can copy that link from here, and we'll make that's also going to be available at any time from the activity. If it's not Zoom, you could do a location, and this is just a generic location field. You can type in whatever you want, right? And load that in as a location, which we won't need because we're going to do a virtual. And I generated this from a contact. So this is an important point to understand is if you're on a contact or a deal, when you click that activity button, we're going to auto assign the record relations for you. So it's not like you have to go in there and set these every time. But if you're not on a record and you create a new activity using the universal add button, that's the plus button up in the corner, these won't have any reference. So you need to set them if you want it to be hooked into some type of record. The guest field is where you want additional people to come from. So, the contact here is my Smackdab account, but you might want to say, oh, I want to invite support at smackdab.ai. And then you can get the create, and so it just lets you stick that in there. So they're now an additional guest. Collaborators are internal. So these are going to be the other users of the platform. So that's where I'd want Rob to be with me on this meeting. So I'd set him in there if he was a user in the system. Calendar visibility is so whether or not we see it on the calendar. So you might be creating tasks, for example, and I don't want to see tasks on the calendar. So in the defaults from settings, we'd want to have those probably off when we're creating tasks, so I don't load up my calendar full of tasks. Free and busy availability. That's also all of these are default settings from that you can set so that you don't have to think about this. But availability is when it comes into the booking side of things. So we talk about the booking link and that Calendly type functionality. Your calendar needs to have blocking events so that somebody can't overbook you. But you might be creating a task for yourself, or even some phone calls that you do want to be on the calendar, but you don't want to block other bookings from being able to be scheduled on there. So if you like to have your calendar where people can schedule you using a booking system, I would leave this to free. And that means this isn't going to be a blocking event. So other events could get scheduled on top of this. And busy means, no, I'm busy. Don't allow anybody to overblock this time. And then tags are just like in Smackdab, we have tags for everything. So tags is just another spot you can tag things, and that's for your internal tracking. If you want to run reports, it's totally optional. And then description, which is look at this bid together. And we'll save and close. And with the save, we'd want to be able to send out a notification. This is going to be one of those. Days where something's just not going to fire right for me today. So I've been working with the team on this. I told them we were going to be demoing this, and so we've been putting some last minute fixes in there, and it looks like those last minute fixes are causing a couple of errors. We were all over this morning. Let me fire one off right here real quick. So back on contacts, new demo. Oh, gotta go back to this one. Sample, save and close. There's the notification fire. So that's when it would send out the notification. So those would come to my emails, and those would look like this. Hey, you've been asked to come to an invite. Oh, not that one. That's the Zoho one. There we go. You're invited for this meeting from 2:30, and that's the one I just put gibberish in there. And that would go to your client. So whoever you sent this to is going to get a nice invite like this. We are right now, these are Smackdab branded.
You're lagging a little bit, so slow down on the scroll.
Oh, sure. So on the screen, it's lagging a little bit. Okay. Right now, these are Smackdab branded. That's one of the things I was trying to get fixed before we did our demo today, and it didn't get quite done. So these, when they built this originally, we were just branding them as Smackdab, but this obviously needs to be your company's logo, not ours. So that's something that's on our, they're trying to get fixed here for us very quickly. Then the rest of the details are here though. You get your meeting invite, and your client would either confirm or decline that. And it's going to take them to a nice little, hey, congrats, thank you. You're confirmed, like that. So those meetings are going to be set up. People have confirmed. They're going to get the ICS invite through that email. So their calendar would get the little, attachment. So their calendar shows the event as well. On the
Quick
dash.
question on those. Can you just copy and paste a Teams link in there, or do we have to wait until a Smackdab integrates with Teams?
Oh, you could totally put in a Teams link in there. So I'm trying to think where the best place. You could definitely do it in the description. So if we did, I hadn't even thought about that, but that's, if we attach, let me just think about this. If we did the add a Zoom link, I don't think it matters what we put in there because this is just a placeholder. They're just adding a URL field. So I'll double check on this. That I don't think it would matter. We would you just choose to insert the link here. And that would just be a normal URL field that you would stick in there. And Teams should absolutely work in that way. What I'm not sure is what the invite looks like, because I think our invites, when they have the meeting in there, the meeting is included. Like, so that's, let me look on this. And if it's not already working that way, I'll make sure that we make a quick adjustment for that, because that would be easy to do, to let you insert your own Teams link. I just want to make sure that the invites get updated to show that correctly as well, that it is a Teams link.
Leon asked the question, same procedure for physical meeting? I assume just
yeah, there's a location, right? So the location is here. So we just say, it could have your office in there, or this could say, meet at office to discuss. Like, this title can be whatever you want it to be. And that's what's going to be in the invites. So when those invites go out, it's right there. Whatever we put in there is going to be the meeting invite. Sorry, it's right there. So whatever goes in that meeting type is going to be shown, I believe, on that spot there. I'll confirm that. This was, again, the last things we were trying to get done before all this, and so they just got this built. But we'll look at this again and make sure that reflects appropriately. So the address, let me go and add that as well. So I'll make sure the address is included in here. So let me go back and double check all these with these different fields. So those are great questions. And it's partly why we're doing this, is getting feedback from you guys to help us think through all this stuff. Rob, you're writing all this down for me, right?
Yeah, I'm working on that. Also, is there a calendar invite?
Yeah, should be in these right there. It's included in this invitation that goes out. It's got an ICS file in it.
Perfect.
And it's built to work with Google already. So that's all part of this invite. Any other questions on this one?
No, we're good. We're caught up.
Okay, great. When you're on the dashboard, after you've added these activities, let's just bounce out of here. So you can see on the dashboards what this looks like. Sorry, it's got one dark and one light mode, but you've got your done, just means you've marked that activity as done. And this one shows, what's not done. So at the top, you just click on it and it brings it up so you can see the details. And there's that Zoom link that we added in that one earlier. So again, you can just click on the button there to jump and launch Zoom right from here. And if it's a task or even a regular meeting, you can just say mark as done. And when you mark something as done, like I showed before, when you get to the end of it and you mark as done, we have an optional result. I covered that at the beginning, where you can set different results, and some of the results can optionally require memos. So this is great if you want your sales reps. You could say proposal accepted, or schedule a follow-up meeting, but you want to have a explanation of why. And we do that in iPoint. Like when you lose a proposal, we pop it up and we're like, why did you lose that proposal? And this is the same concept of, you can optionally require that memo to be filled out so that you can track those later in your reporting. The activities then can go all into your history on your timeline. This is the other piece that we were wrapping up today. Let me go and see here if this is, that was demo. Doing what it's supposed to do and dropping it in here. Yep. So history, meeting, result was other. So what you get is the full history. So from the contact, you can see these as they're done. They drop down here into the history. There with the results. Now, one of the big pieces, and I'm not sure how well we can demo this in a meeting, is, so I can certainly try, but it's, if you attach your Zoom link to it, and Google, I believe, works as well, we would have our Smackdab assistant that will join the meeting and record the meeting. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this already. When you're in Zoom meetings, you probably have maybe these tools yourself, where it listens, records, and then provides this nice recap. And we do the same thing as well, and we attach it right in the timeline here. So the benefit of that is when we're doing it, it's hooked onto the contact or the deal that it originated from. So you always have that history available to you right in the record, right in the timeline of your contacts. So I have another one, like we use Read AI too as well, because we like to look at how they do things, and we have taken inspiration from some of the reports that they generate as well. But it's a whole separate program, and they're stored over, in this other list that I have to go and try to find stuff, versus just easily going. And Smackdab, we've done the same thing, and we can just go in here and see the meeting and see the summary and pull it up. And I will post into the community a summary. So I'll get one set up. I should have done that before today. I apologize that I didn't. I'll go and record one and post it into the community and link to it so that you can all see what it looks like. And you can obviously do it yourselves. You should be able to do your own meetings and set these up. I am going to try it just for fun. So let's go in here and set this for a video call and see if we can actually get it to do this while we're doing a regular one. So we'll do create a Zoom meeting. I hope this doesn't go horribly wrong. We'll set this for 225. We're going to save it. And I'm going to go over to Zoom. Let's see what happens here. Oh, nope, it won't let me do it. It says I have to leave a meeting, so we're not going to do that. I don't want to risk that happening. So we'll record one. I'll post it for you. It just says I'm in the Zoom meeting. That could be. Oh, maybe not. Maybe that was a different meeting I never closed out of. That's possible. Okay, this one's running. We'll let it run for a minute and see what happens here. You can still hear me, right? Okay, we'll let it run for a minute and see what happens. Okay, so while that's running, let's see what happens if we go let it run in the background, and we'll see if it'll attach. Oh, I heard it ding. So yeah, so there's our Smackdab note taker. So you can see that it's joined this meeting in Zoom. And I just approved it. So now it's recording me. So we should get our summary here. I'll let it run for 5 minutes and I'll stop it, and then we'll get our summary, hopefully. I'm going to reload this. I'm going to see if we get it to pop up with it running. Yeah, so it's got it. So what's happening on this one now, on this activity, we've added the summary tab, and it's telling you that right now it's in progress and it's recording. So you can see that from the activity details, this new summary tab is informing you that that's going on. So this is cool. It's all working like it's supposed to here. So let's go look at bookings for a little bit while that runs, and then we'll double back and talk about the recording side. So bookings is like Calendly. I'm curious, maybe if you got a thumbs up or something here on the meeting, how many people are using a scheduling software? Yes, no. No thumbs up. Maybe nobody's using it. You're muted, Rob.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a thumbs up option.
Okay. Oh,
But
okay.
you guys pop a quick yes or something in the QA if
I'm
you're
just
using
curious if that's a
something.
common use case for you guys or not.
Or I'm not, Brooks, on your screen, go to polls. I can't create a poll, but maybe you can.
Poll. Oh, who uses a scheduling software like Calendly? Like that. Single choice. Yes. No. Okay, we'll see what happens. All right. Okay, hey, look at this. Real-time results coming in. This is cool. Okay, we got a few yeses. All right, about half of you so far. Okay, cool. So those of you who use a current one, I would love for you to just poke at ours and to kind of give us some feedback, as it's the newest thing that we got done on the CRM. So I would love to get feedback from you guys on this. So poke at ours and let us know what you think of this thing. So I'll walk through it real quick. So your booking, you go in here and you start with your availability schedule. We initialize one for you, but you'll want to make sure that you have one in here. So go to bookings and availability schedule and make sure that you have something, and then look at it to make sure it matches what you would want. So for me, it's set up for 9 to 5, nothing on the weekend. So that's just saying, what is my default? When could people book my calendar? And we sync. You'll want to make sure you connect your Google or Outlook calendars as well, because we're going to sync those events in and make sure that those represent times that can't be booked, right? You don't want to get overbooked. So make sure you integrate in settings, just to show everybody where it's at. Go to settings and personal calendar and make sure you set up one of your calendars here. Right now, we're only syncing one calendar. That will be plan-based. So I think it's on Momentum. You can sync multiple. We'll let you do up to 3 calendars on the Momentum plan. But you can do one on the basic one that just comes included with the iPoint keys as well. So set up a calendar, sync those events, and then you can go back to the bookings and go to your unavailability. Let's cover that too. That's like saying, even though I'm normally available from this, I want to add in a lunch hour. So you could say lunch hour, and that way it blocks off your time from 12 to 1 or something every single day. Like that, and save that. And we're blocking off that one for lunchtime. But if you're going to be time off, sick, vacation, whatever, you can block out times like that. Okay, moving back to bookings. So then you want to create your booking link. The basic platform has one link with it. The advanced version has multiple different booking links, but the default one to have a single link is like this. So you go in, you can call this whatever you want. Meet with Brooks. And the booking mode is going to be just one-to-one right now. We will have we've got different types coming, like group booking, which will be an advanced feature where you could send multiple invites out and have multiple people picking times on the calendar, like with a voting system. So that's why there's a drop down here, even though there's no other options yet, there will be more coming. A selected time means that this isn't just to be used whenever, but it's a very specific link for a specific point in time. So generally, you're going to want to use your general link one. Entity, again, is where it's only one option for, I'm sorry, the activity is the only option right now. The reason this is here is on the other, again, on some of the more advanced plan options, you can create your own entities. So you could create, and we'll have our own that coming as part of our system. Like when we add work orders, let's just assume it's work orders. Like in iPoint, when we port over the work order system into Smackdab, that could be an entity. And you might say, well, I'm going to create a booking type that actually goes to our service work orders. And so we'd set that here. And that way, this form that goes out, there would be a customer booking a service call. So that's why you have something here that doesn't have options yet. And then your meeting type. In the meetings, the activities that I had up there, there's different types. And you can optionally create additional meeting types like demo or initial consult. And so it's letting you choose what type of activity you want to apply to when somebody books you. What is the activity that you get in in Smackdab that corresponds? Sorry, I had work orders on my mind there. And then in person versus Zoom or a phone call. So Zoom is most commonly what you're going to be using. But yeah, you could do in person, and we're going to be adding a location to this as well for the in person, so it can have a default location and optionally multiple locations. So somebody could choose like whether it's an in-home visit or an office visit. So that's something else that's coming. Assigned to me, and moving on. So down at the bottom, which I've got to move stuff around so I can see it under my meeting controls. So save and continue. So we walk through. So we're going to see we've got this URL up here, and then your availability schedule. So you probably only have one. If there was multiples, you could choose which availability schedules we're going to be using for this booking link. How long is this link for? Not the link itself, but the appointment. So when somebody books you, is the meeting going to be for 30 minutes? Is it going to be for 10 minutes? How much time is being blocked out for this event? So we're going to say it's 30-minute, and then what is the intervals? So in other words, it could be a 5-minute meeting, but we still run in 30-minute intervals versus 15 minutes. See the calendar changing in real time, how it gets you G45, 315, or do we want it running in 30 minutes? So this is controlling what the calendar looks like. This is controlling how long the meeting is going to be booked for. So 30 and 30 would fit perfectly in here. Now, start today and never end. So you could put an end date in if you wanted to, and then time zone for you. This is your time zone. We auto detect your client's time zone. So if you're near a time zone and you have clients on one side and you're on the other, it should auto detect them and present stuff in their time zone. But they also will have on the booking, they should have the ability to change what's being displayed as well. Pre-buffer and post-buffer, that just means, so your pre-buffer says, well, how much time do I want to block out to prep for my meeting? And that would be saying, so if I even put 5 minutes, that would mean if somebody booked you at 3:30, that the 3 o'clock would automatically be taken away, because if you do the math, we're booking 30-minute appointments on the duration. So therefore, I can't have a 3 o'clock if somebody just booked at 3:30 and I want a 5-minute buffer. So these are just controlling how tight people can schedule you, and same for the post. If I put 5 minutes there, I just eliminated the 4 o'clock time too. So if I book at 3:30, I just knocked out the 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock appointment times, because this is going to run then until 4:05. Then down here, booking notices. This is just how far out, or how soon, the soonest somebody could book me. So basically, if I put 1 day, that means you couldn't book me until tomorrow, right? So you see how the calendar keeps changing in real time as we're making these changes. So I put it 1 day, I can't book today. If I get rid of this and put it back to 0 days, I could book today in the afternoon. So this is cool because it keeps updating you, showing you how things are going to be changing based upon what gets put in here. And then your maximum says how far ahead can somebody book me. So in other words, I want to allow you to book out for the 3 days in advance. Well, that means next week you can't book because that's too far. I'm not going to let you book me that far in advance. So that's what those all mean. And we try to explain it right here. When you're good, save and continue. Let me go back and, oh geez, I just hit cancel. It doesn't matter. We were here. Yeah, this is all how it was. Save and continue. This is just how do you want to title. These are merge fields. So the customer name is whoever's booking you. And then the booking type was this beginning piece right here, the name. So meet with Brooks. So this would say Rob Marks, meet with Brooks. That would be the appointment title. And then you can title this whatever. So this could be a meeting to discuss whatever. And then save and continue. So you can control the fields. This is the form that people then have to fill out. So when they click to book you, you want who is it, what's their phone number and their email, that kind of stuff. So you can add more fields. So if you want to create like custom fields just for this form, that's like, what's the problem you want to discuss? That's what this is. These are only for the form. In fact, it says it right there. These are only for the form and are not saved to the contact. If you want this data saved to the contact, you can do that. You just use a simple automation, which lets you then say, I'm going to take this information from the form and insert it into this field in the contact. So you can save it. It just doesn't do it by default. Adding a field from the contact says, well, these are all my contact forms that actually exist in the database, like company. And so now we've said, okay, I want to also track the company, and it's not required. So it's an optional field, and you can move that up and down. And so you can see this in real time, what's happening. And then down below here, you get your terms and conditions, which I had ChatGPT or somebody made a fun one for me. Yeah, there it is. So there. And most everything in Smackdab is actually rich text. So you can go in there and say, I want to make this really big. There you go. And so you can put in some terms and conditions, save and continue. And now up here, it says logo and image. This could be whatever. So I could upload something like this. I don't know what that is. Hopefully this is appropriate. Oh, it's me. Okay. Whew. That was close. And then you can change, like, do you want the full image or what do you want? And how big do you want it? So you can control that. Scrolling down, you have a lot of control of what these look like. I'm not going to get into all this. A lot of this is just tinker around. You'll see how you can change the look and feel of these forms. What do you want the buttons to look like? You have total control of this form. Save and continue. And here's notifications. So where do you want notifications sent from? So in Smackdab, you can set up back in the settings your company emails. Like this one's my iPoint one. It's available to be used as a send from. So you don't have to have things coming from Smackdab if you don't want to. So they can come from your email address. And so when it goes out to the customer, says, hey, congratulations, we're booking, it comes from you, not us. And we would encourage you to do that. Then for the user, email them when this is like you're the user. So when do you want confirmations? So whenever the customer books or reschedules or cancels, I want to know about that. And then same for the customer. When the customer books, reschedules, or cancels, when should we send them an additional message? And then reminders. How many reminders and when do you want them to fire? And you can customize these forms as well. Now this is the old system, so I haven't seen the new one. So we read those emails, and this is part of that whole crossover, and why I'm telling you it's not quite ready to go, because we have to go back and adjust what we're doing on these emails since we've replaced the format that we were sending those in. So, but the idea is that we want to let you have flexibility in those emails that you're sending if you choose to. Save and continue. This is where you can add automations. So I'm not going to jump in too deep here. We are going to be doing a training on automations very soon. I'm waiting on a few of the features to wrap up so that when I do the training, we've got them, all the pieces there. A big one is the merge fields, which is really important, and that's done in development, but I haven't seen it and haven't used it and tested it. So when I get the merge fields, then we'll do a training, a group training like this on automations. And I know a lot of you asked about that. I want to do it, but I want it to have all the pieces. So when we show you all the components that you're going to need are there. So this is automations, and you would just click the plus button here and activate this one. And if you want to edit it, you could jump in and edit it, but I'm not going to cover that today. Save and continue. Nothing much here. Don't mess with the stuff up here. That's not really applicable. This stuff does so, and it's all self-explanatory because we put explanations in there of what they are. And save, and we're pretty much done. So you can go in here and say, I want to copy this link, and this is where you can see what happens for your client. So if your client books you for 3:30, and it's going to be Brooks Swift, and I'm with Smackdab, and my phone number is 800-535-4101, and my email is demo@smackdab.ai. And I agree to the terms and conditions that I agree if this meeting runs over because we're solving world problems. That's totally fine by everyone involved. Also, mutually muting yourself while eating chips is considered basic human decency. Ha ha. All right, book the appointment. And should say success. Fingers crossed. Haven't tested this a whole lot. Like I said, this one's not ready to be used in prime time yet. So obviously it's taking way too long to save. So I'll check back on this. This is very, very, very beta, and it's just in your files so that you can tinker with it. Please don't use this with your customers yet.
Brooks, your
okay, we'll leave that be. It might save,
really,
it might not. I'm not really sure. Again?
Your connection went really, really slow while that was loading. And still might still be slow.
It did load. It just took, okay, it did load. It just took a long time. So what my whole spiel about don't use this for your customers yet. Did you hear that?
Heard it in like 0.3x speed.
Okay, sorry. Maybe we won't be using Zoom webinars. I don't know. It's hard to find a good platform. Or it's my internet.
Can you try ending that Zoom meeting? I'm wondering if having both meetings at the same time is making it a little worse too.
Probably. Send it. We'll let it run in the background. See if we get that should process. So I meant to cancel that a while ago. Okay, so we'll see what happens there. Going back then to wrap up the meeting recap. So it did, it did save. It did take way too long to actually hit confirm and save. So my spiel was don't use this in the real world yet, please. Where I did not give it to you because I want you to put out there for your customers. Gave it to you guys so that you can poke at it, give us feedback on it. What's good, what's bad, what do we need to improve on this, other than obviously making it save that data faster at the end, which I will have the team already looking at that. That is a high-level overview. Well, that was a pretty detailed overview of the bookings. I am curious on our dashboard, on our meeting that we had. It was this one. No. It was this one. No. Which one did we put the link with? Oh, no.
Go to that proposal review that had a summary.
Because it would have been for like 2:30.
The middle one, the 225 one.
Summary? There it is. Thank you. Yeah, it's okay. So it's good. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing. The meeting is concluded. The transcript is currently being generated. So hold tight. So hopefully that will kick out for us before we wrap up, which is going to be pretty soon here. And like I said, I will post that into the community as well for you guys, so you can get a copy of the summary that it's going to generate. Okay, activities and bookings. The piece, now I can explain where that came in under the edit screen. Where this came into play was if you didn't set a time, the idea is we could have sent out the booking link now, which would have just taken you to that calendar. The other cool thing I do want to show you about the booking system is that you can insert specific times on emails that you compose from within Smackdab. So if I'm on a customer, and we'll just stick with our demo customer here, and we composed an email, we can say, let's connect. And you could say, hey, here are some times I can meet with you. And then you hit / bookings, select slot, and it brings up your calendar. And this is a real, synced up calendar with your whatever calendars you've connected to it. So Google or Microsoft, plus all of the items in Smackdab. So you can see our other things I've already scheduled for this day. So all you do is, and the grayed out part is because that is outside of what is allowed for this this booking type. So this basically, that availability schedule we were talking about and playing with before, they're all grayed out because those are outside of that availability schedule. So it's saying, when do you want to provide optional links? And I could say, well, let's do one for 11 o'clock. And I could do it again at this time. And I could even squeeze you in right here. Okay, so we've populated these 3 times here. And I say insert availability. And now inside of my email are these hot links. So let me send this to, demo. It's perfect. I'm going to go ahead and hit send. So that's out the door, and that should show up over here, actually. See, there it is. Let's connect. And we can, I'm not sure why that's saying something about spam. It came from my own email. Anyway, I'll check into that. I'm not sure if that's us or that's just Gmail. This is the links. So your customer can just click on that, and it takes them right to the booking page like that. So it skips all the other steps because you've already given them, you already, predefined what it was for, and you just stuck those meeting links into the email. So it short circuits everything and just says, done, we're booked. So that's kind of a cool component there. I'm curious if I can change it though. Let's try this. So that one says booked as well. So I'll have to check and see on that one. Yeah, there it is. So that one's no longer available. So again, totally for you guys to play with, not to be put into production use yet. But it's coming, and we're getting really close to wrapping this thing up. There's more to booking, but I'm going to put a pin in that one for now. And we're at 2:48 and open it up for some Q&A.
Curious if there'll be a technician version of the app looking for something similar to House Call Pro or Jobber that will have an on-the-way option to let clients know techs are on their way.
Yep. Yeah, when we port over the work order project management side from iPoint over here, we will absolutely have that in the apps.
Can you give us an idea of where Teams integration is on the roadmap? I would probably say specifically the meetings, Teams meetings, being able to integrate those.
So, yeah, so what's happened on the Teams is Microsoft is a pain to work with. I think that the team, last I talked to them a few weeks ago about Teams, was that we can do it, but we can't get any data back from them. So, when we started the meeting, I had that summary tab and it said, hey, the meeting's in progress. That doesn't, my understanding from what the team briefed me on is we can't get that kind of stuff from Teams. And we can't get hooks from it, so that when we start a meeting, Zoom sends us a hook and tells us the meeting started, and that's when we send over the Smackdab agent to listen in. Teams won't do that. And again, going off of my understanding, not that I personally have researched this, but they say that if we have to do it with Teams is if we book it for 3 o'clock to 3:30, the agent's going to join at 3 o'clock and it's going to leave at 3:30. Whether the meeting has started or ended is irrelevant. All we can do is set the times and it's just going to show up. So that's my understanding of a pretty major limitation with Teams. I haven't had the team dig into it because we wanted to get the other pieces done that we know work, that we can release. And then Teams is kind of a wild card on the meeting, the agent joining you. As far as generating the booking link for Teams, I'm not sure. I will check with them. I think Teams is just kind of this all-encompassing. If we're going to do it, it comes with all the work involved, and we've just set it off to the side until we get everything else done, and then we'll come back around and look at Teams. So assuming that they wrap this up in the next couple of weeks, like I intend for them to, I will hopefully be looking at Teams by the late side of June and see if we can get that integrated into this system so it's like Zoom and fully integrated.
That's it for questions.
That was easy.
Oh, wait, no, I need to scroll. Never mind.
Okay.
I'm bad. If you offer times like you just did with the 3 slots, are all 3 slots reserved until the customer chooses one, or could someone else accidentally book that slot?
They're not reserved. That's a great question and a great idea, though. The current system doesn't reserve them at all, and if somebody else booked it, those links would just say, hey, sorry, this has already been booked. But that's a great idea. So let me take that back and see if we can make that an option as part of that system to say reserve, and that way we could actually block them out until one of them gets chosen, or you have to have an expiration. Let's pull that up real quick and look. So I think we'd need a couple of pieces to do that right. We'd have to have a expiration. So if we booked these, right, and down here we'd want to say reserve. And we want to have the option to expire, because what if it's like, what if we're booking for next week, right? And I only want to give somebody a day to reserve or a day to book one. And after that, we're like, screw it. They didn't pick one. So we want to free it up, right? So I would think we'd want a reservation and then optional expiration of the reservation. But that's an awesome idea. Whoever typed that, what do you think about those two pieces? So we do a reservation checkbox with an expiration.
John, if you want to type in the chat if you like that or not.
Yeah, you have to do it in the Q&A apparently.
Or the Q&A.
Or you can unmute him if he wants to talk.
Oh, that's right. Find John. It's thinking. It's taking a long time to allow him to talk.
Looks like I had to do a bunch of permissions. Yeah,
There you
that sounds good. Where you reserve for a fixed amount of time. Maybe we can set it as a default or set it on the fly. But yeah, have it reserved for a specific amount of time and then expires, and those slots are now open again.
Right. As soon as they book one, obviously the others would be freed up as well.
Exactly. Yes.
That's great. Yeah, I love that. Who else has got a good idea? That's a good one.
Another thought of, is there a mapping location feature for someone to click on the customer address and see a map for us directionally challenged people?
We just opened Google Maps right now. So yeah, if we went back into here and we did 372 Live Oak Lane, if you're going to come visit me. Then when you click on it, there's a little open thing right there, and it's just going to open up Google Maps for you. So come hang out with me on the beach. We are going to, oh, Brian, should I tell them about that? Yeah, Brian says yes. So we are going to be doing something fun. This is totally unofficial, but since you guys made the time to come hang out, I'm going to tell you what we're doing. We will be doing a giveaway. So I live on island. Well, I just pulled it up. So this is Marco Island. I literally live on the Gulf Coast of Florida down here. And I happen to own a separate little condo that's right down here. And I live right here on a resort golf course hangout area. We are going to give away a vacation to come down and stay at our condo. And when you're here, I will treat you up and you can hang out. We'll go play golf, hang out on the beach. We're going to be giving that away at some point later this summer. Once Smackdab's out, you're just going to have to go and pump us on social media and you'll get entered into the drawing, and we will be giving that away. We'll fly you down here and you can spend a few days hanging out with Brian and me in Marco Island. So we'll be announcing that later officially.
Is there any plans to move iPoint to a web-based app? That's the question.
You want to answer that one?
So iPoint already has a web-based app, so you can use iPoint Online. If there's a URL on the bottom right of your dashboard, you should be able to click to go online, and that's the web-based piece for all of iPoint. We worked hard to make it run really smoothly. It's what my team uses when they're using iPoint, and it's going really, really well. And then Smackdab is the next iteration, where as we were working to build out, like, Smackdab will have all of the features of iPoint. That's where we're at.
Right. So I mentioned that in the last few webinars that we've done, that the plan is to port all iPoint functionality into Smackdab by the end of 2026. Not that we're shutting down iPoint, not that you have to jump, but that's going to be the new version with all of the existing functionality of iPoint plus a whole lot more that we can do in the new platform. And we will have a transition process of migrating all of your historical data over into the Smackdab app. So you wouldn't lose anything. You'll have everything from iPoint loaded into Smackdab, and you just flip a switch and move over. It will not be fully bidirectional. So we're going to try and do some sort of a migration process where some things will be bidirectional, but at some point, like, we're going to have inventory control in Smackdab. I'm not going to try and do bidirectional syncing of Smackdab inventory with iPoint inventory. So at some point, you'll have to make a decision of, do you want to switch over? We'll flip a switch, we'll port it over, and you'll have to then switch permanently to that application. But it's not today. It is sometime next year. We hope to be ready to do that. And then we'll continue to support iPoint as well for those of you who just want to stay on that application.
Noticing the .ai in our domain name, what AI features do we envision? Howard says he's a first-time attendee and apologize if we've covered in other ones.
No, it's okay. It's great. So we have quite a bit of AI that's already in the platform. Let's go and check on this and see if this happened to come up with it. This is one of them. So still cooking. This is Zoom. We're waiting on Zoom. So just for the record, ours takes all of like 30 seconds to generate our report, but Zoom takes forever to give us the recording at the end. That's why this is sitting here cooking. So that's AI where we go through. That's one. Let's go look at the email. I can show you some of the ones we're doing. Let's just use Smackdab. Okay. So we'll take Smackdab and then we can add a new contact, right? But you can also do an AI summary of what this is. And I have no idea what this is going to spit out, since it is just a calendar invite. But it's going to summarize the email for you. And not much to it. It's just a summary. But what it also does is creates action items. So if you have an email chain or somebody's said, hey, we need to go do this, and this is a date, you can see that it's pulling up dates and action items for you out of the email chain. So that happens as soon as it finishes here. It's pulling all the different links out of there. On these important dates and important topics, action items, if you click on it, you see that it actually brings up an add an activity button there. And it's actually supposed to do it over here too, and it's not. So I will ask them about that. So we wanted to do it from both here where it fires off an activity. I want that to happen from right here as well. So that's been missed from our dev team to do that. But that's one piece, a little piece of AI. You can be in a contact under this one, for example. And if I go to timeline, there's this little AI summary. So this is going to generate a full summary of everything that's transpired in this contact in a look back. And you'll see it starts putting that together. We extract data from email signature. So back in email, when you have a contact that is linked up from that email. So back here, here in this one, I don't think let's just add a new contact here. And I did have, that's an automation right there. So you can do announcements and celebrations and stuff. So that's why it just did that. Was I had an automation I had demoed for somebody about how every time you create a contact, we can throw a little party. Once you have it linked up, if there was a signature, which there's not on this, we have a little AI button here that pops up, and it would actually go through and say, okay, I found the email, I found the company name, I found their LinkedIn, I found their business address, and it automatically will populate the contact details into the contact for you out of their signature. So that's an AI component. We have the ability to a lot of summarizing, but we're going to be tracking some future stuff. We're going to be tracking since we sync all your emails, we sync all of your phone calls as long as you're using a integrated phone system. Right now it's just Zoom and it's our own system. We'll be expanding that to include some others, RingCentral, Dialpad this year. So we're recording all this stuff, and then we can give you a daily summary. So if you're the owner of the company or a manager and you're like, I want to get a daily summary of just everything that happened with all of our deals every single day. Well, the AI is going to go through and take care of all of the emails that came in, all of the phone conversations, and it's going to give you this high level recap of what the team did that day. We can check for a negative situation. So if you have a phone call that has a negative outcome, like somebody starts cussing somebody out, we can flag that and alert someone that, hey, this had a negative phone call happen. Maybe not as applicable in this industry space, but could be. You just want to know about that. We're going to be doing a little bit further down the road. I want to do like an AI-based scheduling system so that when somebody books, it's not booked. So you booked an appointment and they never confirmed, and we want the AI to kind of go, hey, you have an appointment coming up, they haven't confirmed, do you want me to try and get a hold of them? And you just say yes, and so it then can start making texting. It could even initiate a phone call, and it tries to track them down to see if they're coming to the meeting. That's an example. I've got a sheet of like 50 things that we're going to have planned for AI. The chat engine in here is, it's not in the production version, but I have it in my dev side. So there's this little chat bot right here, and it's kind of slow right now. That's one of the things I asked the team to speed up, is just the responses. They said a lot of it is that we're using the best models. So if you guys are into the LLMs, we're using Gemini 2.5 Pro. And so it's how many new deals do we have in the last month? So part of the delay here is literally because we're using the new smart models where they sit there and think about stuff. So we may actually use a lesser model to speed this up, because it feels like it's slow, but it's just because we're waiting on those new models, which are the thinking models, to go through everything. So right now it's just a basic response, but we're going to be doing this where you can say generate a chart with the analytics platform. So it'll go through and put charts into your dashboard for you. And you can ask it all kinds of stuff. You can ask about emails. You can ask it about how my last meeting went, in the transcription. What was the topics of my last meeting I had with Rob? I have no idea if this one works yet. What was my last meeting with let's just see if this works. See how good it is. They're constantly working on this. I have a team that just does nothing but work on this chat system. This is the Command K, which I've shown this before. We'll see if it answers this, and then I'll touch on Command K one more time.
Waiting on it. Oh,
yeah, it didn't find that one. That's okay. I didn't think it would. But Command K is here, so you just hit literally Command or Control K, and then you can search for anything. So settings. If you were at the demo 2 weeks ago, I tried to do that for the customizations and it didn't work. It couldn't find. There's the same one. It's still there. They said they fixed that one. I'm gonna try one more time. Customize. Yep, still there. Never mind. They said they fixed it and they didn't. So it's crashing on customizations, trying to find the customization section of settings. So other than that, it's in here. So if I do Bro Swift, I can look and find my contact. I can find anything that's got my name in it. If I keep typing, it'll continue to refine that. So this is the catch-all. You can also launch it by just clicking right here. It's the very same thing. And if you've got the little AI bot on yours in production, you're welcome to tinker with it. I don't know how well it works in production. They're constantly adding in. Yeah, it's there. So it's going to be behind what I see on my side. So don't get mad if it doesn't work. It's just there to tinker with right now. So there was a long answer to the AI question. And it's after 3 o'clock. So anybody who needs to jump off, go ahead. Like I think appreciate you being here, but I don't mind sticking around if there's others who want to ask questions.
Another good idea, can AI create profile of a customer based on prior projects, payment history, quirks, complaints, etc.?
Yeah, let's make sure we add that to the list.
Mm-hmm.
Great idea. So yeah, that's summarizing. So I mean, that's actually an easy one because summarizing is what AI does well, and it's actually just really easy to do. We just say, hey, here's a bunch of data, go give us a result, right? So any of that summarizing stuff's really easy. When we say, go look at, when we ask it a specific question, like I like, go look at Rob Mark's meetings, last meeting. Well, now it has to really get particular about looking for very specific things, and that's where it takes more training. And that's what the AI team is doing right now, is teaching it and then building internal APIs to help it out.
Roadmap of QuickBooks, online and desktop.
We have online already. Which you shouldn't be using our invoicing system yet because it's not really the same thing as iPoints is. But we actually have, if it's maybe not exposed yet over here, I don't see it being exposed in there yet, but it is actually done. We can already sync with QuickBooks. I don't think they have even pushed it to the dev server though, but that's very near, like should be here in June being released. But that's only if you're doing stuff in Smackdab for the invoicing, which is not the same thing as the iPoint invoicing yet. It will be, but it's not currently. It's just for simple stuff. But if you wanted to sell somebody something online, this could absolutely be used for that. So the use case for Smackdab for you guys today is if you wanted to put on a form. So you go into your marketing out here. So we'd go to the marketing forms, and then, sorry, it's not a form. It's actually under sales, and it's called checkout forms. So checkout forms uses the products in here, and it's the same thing as the forms is, but it's a checkout system. So you're basically creating a form and you're saying, here are products that you could sell them. And you could do upsells. So you could say, and you could optionally buy this. And they're basically checking out right online. So it checks out, creates an invoice, sends them an invoice, and notifies you that somebody just bought something. So that could be used as scheduling a service call on the website if you wanted to enable somebody to purchase a service call ahead of time and try to get their information. That could be a use case.
Adrian, I let you I allowed you to talk. So if you want to unmute yourself, I'm not quite understanding your question about using 2 iPoint test accounts. Oh, looks like maybe you need to authorize permissions. Error in using microphone.
Is there a way you can chat? Is there a way to demo that we could import 1 or 2 iPoint test accounts with just one of our team members before onboarding everyone? Well, so in Smackdab right now in beta, you've got the whole thing, including doing multi-branch. So you could create a branch, test it out, import from iPoint, and then we could turn around and delete the whole branch. So that's pretty easy to do. You just create a secondary branch, and we can absolutely try to assist you with that. And a branch in Smackdab is like creating a whole second company, and you can just create multiple companies, which for sandbox purposes or whatever you want to do. So those are going to be limited to the momentum plan to have multiple branches, but that's right now you guys have full access to everything until probably July is but it's got to be all done. We have to have everything bug free before we're going to even begin to think about coming out of beta mode and actually charging. So right now, have at it. Everything's just free to use and break and test it out.
After doing the sync with Smackdab and iPoint, Scott's not seeing the job site in Smackdab for that's coming from the clients in iPoint.
Yeah, we weren't syncing that. So we'll have to look at that. So yeah, thank you. Rob's writing it down. I can see right now.
Yep.
So we'll have to look at that. We didn't sync job sites. That wasn't part of the original engine. So we don't have in Smackdab, we only have one default address. We don't have, like, iPoint's got specifically 2 address fields all the time. Smackdab doesn't. We can add a second set of address fields to it just through custom fields, but that'll take a custom mapping. So good point. We definitely need to look at that.
Okay, I think I've scrolled to the bottom.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Or a guide, sorry, to what is actively ready versus testing not quite ready there yet. Great question for Adrian. That's a good idea to put out what's, like, we think is fully stabilized versus what we're giving you that's going to break on you. Let me look at that in the next week or two and try to, actually, what I'd like to do is put it in we have a dashboard, message board for that very purpose, and I haven't been using it lately. So on the dashboard, one of the widgets is this right here. It's actually just got gibberish on it, right? Oh, that's dev. Productions to have actual message on there for you guys. Yeah. So right here, I can put whatever I want in here from the back end. So this is probably where I'll do it. So thank you for that. Great idea. I will make a point to get that done so that our message board includes more information about what is specifically ready and we feel solid versus what is just being given to you to poke and break. And with that,
we're good.
I'm going to check one more time before I hang up and see if I didn't get my summary done. Yeah, it's done. So those of you who are still here, here's the summary. So it's a full playback. You can see that it's going to play back the meeting that we did. You can see the talk time. I talk a lot, apparently. It does my talking speed at 202 words per minute. That's a touch fast. I know I talk a little too fast. I should be around 180 if I was doing this properly. So then you get your summary, which is just the recap. You get chapters, and you can jump in by clicking here. It jumps the video to that spot. You see it happening over here. Same with topics. You flip on the descriptions, and it gives you a little more about it. Action items, and those, again, click the plus button. It'll launch a new activity for you. And then keyword tracking. So keywords are things that we pick out in the future. We're going to let you establish keywords that you care about and capture keywords and report on keywords. A future component of this whole system is the ability for you to actually do customized sections over here. So I want you to be able to say, so these are our defaults, but I want you to be able to add, like, I want you to tell me this about it. And you could basically give the AI additional instructions and let you create your own sections over here. So that's a future thing we want to do. And then you got the full transcript here. And this is a really nice transcript. It's, it follows along. You can go back, click somewhere up in here, and it'll jump back to that spot. So, and then you can share it. So this is a share thing. I could share it with the other attendees, or I can just add email addresses in here and share it out. That's the summary. And we do that not just for meetings, we do that for phone calls too. So we'll get into the phone and the texting system in a different training, because we're way over time right now. All right. We'll wrap up this one. Thank you all for being here. And shoot in questions. Make sure if you're in Smackdab and you have any trouble, please use the help section right here and under the support chat, and start a new chat and tell us what's going on.
Thank you all.
Take care.